where the celebrations for marking Ushirika Day have just kicked off. We are looking at droves just coming into KICC right from 6 a.m. and this just gives you an indication of how large the cooperative movement is. By official statistics, it is about 11 million members across the country. So screening is still going on. People are arriving here. But for now, we are informed that President Uhuru Kenyatta has arrived at Dandora, where he's supposed to be officially commissioning the new plant of the Kenya Cooperative Creameries, I should say. This is a critical element in terms of value addition in the cooperative sector. KCC is a milk processor and has a number of farmers registered under it. So this is a key pillar in terms of just ensuring that cooperatives are moved into the next level in terms of processing of products and moving away from the raw materials, which has predominantly been the case. So we shall be focusing on that, and my colleague Lilian Kiari will be covering that. We'll also be moving later on into Upper Hill, where he'll be officially commissioning the new Mwalimu Sacco towers. Now Mwalimu Sacco, you'll have to remember, is the biggest sacco in the country in terms of asset base, with up to about 40 billion shillings worth of assets as per the last reporting by the SASRA Regulatory Authority. So it's a busy packed day in terms of just activity around the cooperative movement. At the KICC will be the final stop for the president, where of course he'll be giving an address in terms of the SACCO movement and what are some of the policy proposals which are being considered in terms of revamping this sector. Earlier this week I spoke to Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya, just highlighting some of the issues that we are focusing on in terms of the sector cooperative movement. There's a new proposal policy which is being tabled before the cabinet. It is being considered for approval, and at this particular point I would like to hand over to Dandora, where Lilian Kiari is, and President Uhuru Kenyatta has arrived.
Kwa soko KCC sasa market value ni 40%. Kwa hivyo ndio ina stabilize prices, ndio unaona wakulima sasa wanapata price nzuri. Kwa hivyo nataka tushikane pamoja, tumualike president awazungumzie wakulima. Mpigeni makofi ya kilo kabisa akija 1 2 3.
Asante sana Waziri Munya. Tuketi, nashukuru sana. Wakulima wa maziwa wa taifa letu la Kenya, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Asanteni sana. Leo ni siku ya furaha, tukiwa hapa pamoja kuendelesha ile kazi ambao tuliwaahidi kama wakulima haswa wa maziwa, ya kwamba serikali yetu itafufua hii viwanda vyetu vya KCC, na ndio wakulima wasiwe wanapoteza maziwa yao. Lakini mbele ya ninene kidogo, najua kila mji iko na mwenyewe, sitaki sasa afikirie mimi nimemsahau. Wacha nimruhusu Governor Sonko hapa aongee kidogo, alafu tuendelee.
Mheshimiwa Rais, waziri, wabunge na wananchi, hamjambo. Hebu tusalimiane kwa hewa. Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Mimi sitaki kuongea mengi kwa sababu rais akishasimama hakuna mtu mwingine anatakiwa na kuongea. Hii ni heshima kubwa sana rais ambaye ametupatia. Lakini bila kupoteza wakati, mimi ningependa rais kukupongeza, kwa sababu bila ushirikiano wetu na wewe Mheshimiwa Rais, Nairobi tusingekuwa pale mahali tumefika leo. Ningependa kusifu Mheshimiwa Rais kwa sababu kutoka tupate uhuru hii Kenya tumekuwa tuna fire station moja pale Tomboya Street. Lakini kupitia kwake, uwezo wake rais, through NAMSIP, Mheshimiwa Rais, partnership ya World Bank, Nairobi City County na serikali yako kuu, sasa Nairobi tuko na fire zaidi ya 4 fire stations Mheshimiwa Rais. Hapa tunaposimama Mheshimiwa Rais, ulipoingilia kuna ile soko through partnership yetu na wewe na Kura. Soko ya kwanza kubwa Eastlands ndio ile Mheshimiwa Rais inaenda kuja, imeisha, iko 90% done kwa sababu ya uongozi wako mzuri Mheshimiwa Rais. Ile fire station Mheshimiwa Rais, kama si wewe leo isingekuwa inasimama pale, kwa sababu iko mkubwa mmoja alikuwa amejenga gorofa kubwa sana pale kwa hiyo kiwanja. Na hii pesa Mheshimiwa Rais ulikuwa umeitenga kutoka 2013 na World Bank, but kwa sababu ya bad leadership na siasa kwa kazi, hii fire isingeweza kujengwa. Lakini uliponipatia uwezo, ukanisaidia, yule alijenga hiyo gorofa, ndio wewe upende ufisadi, gorofa tuliangusha chini Mheshimiwa Rais, na sasa fire inasimama. Mheshimiwa Rais, bado kupitia kwa uwezo wako Mwariro Hawkers Market iko 60% done. Ni mambo ilikuwa inaongewa kama hadisi. Mheshimiwa Rais, bado Kiradini Market iko 75% done kupitia uwezo wako Mheshimiwa Rais. Mheshimiwa Rais, istoshe, ningependa kuongea mambo ya title deed phase 1. Ulifanya kazi mzuri Mheshimiwa Rais pale Jakaranda, tukapeana title. Lakini Mheshimiwa Rais, wakora na sisi tunasema shetani afanywe nini? Waliingia pale Bakasi Ranching Mheshimiwa Rais, sarenda zote za umma, mashule, police station, soko, mahospitali zikanyakuliwa. Na mimi ningependa kupongeza DC wako wa Njiru. Tumeshikana naye na tumepiga hii watu kiboko. Tukasema ufisadi ndani ya serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta na serikali ndogo ya kaunti ya Sonko lazima uishe. Mheshimiwa Rais, tunakupongeza. Sasa tunaendelea na reinspection kwa sababu hii wakora walikuwa wanatushikisha handball mimi na wewe. Nitakwambia vile walikuwa wamefanya. Soko, kwa mfano soko ya Ruai ilikatwa plot zaidi ya 160. Mabwenyenye wakajiallocate. Wakatengeneza makaratasi ati tumewekewa mimi na wewe tuje tupae waizi title deed shamba za umma. Ni wakienda kotini aseme alipewa shamba na rais na governor. Kwa hivyo hiyo Mheshimiwa Rais ilisita hiyo shughuli. Tunaendelea na kufanya kitu inaitwa reinspection. Shamba ya polisi irudi kwa polisi, ya shule irudi kwa shule, ya barabara irudi kwa barabara. Ya mwisho na peana onyo, hapa kuna barabara Mheshimiwa Rais nzuri sana ya kuingia hapa KICC kutoka pale Kangundo Road. Hiyo barabara Mheshimiwa Rais, bado tu wale mabenyenye wameigrab, walipewa approval serikali iliyopita, na mimi nimesema any approval can be revoked. Tayari nimepeana onyo, tumerevoke approval ya kujenga mabarabara, ya kujenga nyumba kwa barabara ya KCC. Kwa hivyo yeyote atajaribu kujenga nyumba kwa barabara ya umma ajue itaenda chini. Sisi hatujali Mheshimiwa Rais. Kwa hivyo sisi tunakupongeza, tuko nyuma yako na tutakusupport. Kwa hivyo sisi hatutaki siasa Nairobi Mheshimiwa Rais, wewe ndio ulitupatia mwelekeo ya kufanya kazi. Siasa tutaongea huko mbele 2022. Kwa hivyo hapa tutaki kusikia sijui kieleweke tanga wala wanjiko. Hapa ni big four agenda ya kusifu Mheshimiwa Rais. Asante kwa hiyo heshima Mheshimiwa Rais kwa kuniruhusu kuongea baada umesimama. Thank you very much.
Haya, asante sana Governor. Si mmesikia sauti ya Governor sasa? Hakuna mwingine anaongea. Hiyo mtafanya baadaye shauri yenu. Mimi nataka kusema ya kwamba tuko na furaha kuwa pamoja nanyi siku ya leo. Tukiwa hapa kurelaunch KCC factory ambaye ilikuwa imefifia. Hii sasa ni factory yetu ya 3. Tulianza kwanza na kufufua ile ilikuwa Eldoret. Tukatoka hapo tukaenda tukafufua ya Sotik. Tumekuja sasa hapa Dandora. Hii tumeipanua vile mmesikia waziri akisema. Kutoka hapa tuaenda tena kufufua ile ya Nyahururu. Tutoke hapo tuende tukafufua ile ya Kiganjo. Na ndio wakulima mali yao ambaye ilikuwa imepotea irudi kuwasaidia na itusaidie sisi wote kama Wakenya kupanua ukulima wetu wa maziwa na kuhakikisha ya kwamba kama nchi tuko na maziwa ya kutosha, na pia tuwe na zaidi ambaye tunaweza kuuzia hata nchi jirani, hata nchi za kule Gulf na Arabia na kwingine, watu wetu waweze kufaidika. Na hiyo ndiyo haja yetu. Na hayo tumeweza kufanya kwa sababu ya umoja na amani ambayo tumekuwa nayo hapa katika taifa letu la Kenya. Na sio tu upande wa maziwa ambao tumeweza kufanya kazi. Pia mnajua kama miaka 2 ilipita ile pan paper kule upande ya Webuye ambaye pia ilikuwa imefilisika na ikafungwa, tumeenda huko na tukaifufua. Tumetoka hapo kiwanda cha Rivertex ambaye pia kilikuwa kimefifia, tumefufua, kimeanza kazi tena. Hivi karibuni tutakuwa upande ya Kisumu tukifufua bandari la Kisumu ambaye pia ilikuwa imefungwa, hakuna kazi ilikuwa inaendelea. na watu hawakuweza kusafiri, hata mizigo haikuweza kusafiri kupitia Ziwa Victoria kwa sababu tu ya ulaghai na ukora ya watu. Juzi tena tulikuwa upande ya Thika tukianzisha mradi wa kuunda magari tena katika nchi yetu ya Kenya, na sisi tumesema kama serikali tuataka ndio tuweze kuhakikisha ya kwamba tuna soko. Serikali yetu na za county lazima kwanza zinunue vile vitu ambavyo vimeundwa na factory zetu za Kenya mbele ya wende kununua za huko nje, na ndio watu wa Kenya wenyewe waweze kufaidika. Na ndipo hata wakati tulianzisha mradi wetu wa manyumba tumesema wale ambao watakuja wawekezaji kuja kutusaidia katika huo mradi wa manyumba tunawakaribisha, lakini tumesema ile vitu ambavyo tunaweza kuunda hapa kwetu Kenya hatutaruhusu wazilete kutoka nje. Kama ni milango, wananchi wetu hapa Nairobi, kule Dagoretti na kwingine wana ujuzi wa kuunda milango. Tununue milango ambayo imetengenezwa na wananchi wa Kenya, vijana wetu wapate kazi. Kama ni mambo ya madirisha na mambo mengine, hakuna haja ya tulete hiyo vitu kutoka nje. Tunataka hiyo vitu viundwe hapa Kenya kwa sababu tunataka vijana wetu waweze kujimudu kwa sababu wako na nafasi za kazi. Kwani kazi itatoka wapi pengine? Si sasa kwa sababu tumepanua factory hii, si lazima sio mkulima peke yake atafaidi. Kuna ule kijana ambaye atakuwa anaendesha lori ambaye imeenda kubeba maziwa, si ni kweli, na kupeleka maziwa kwa soko. Kuna ule ambaye ataandikwa kwa hii kiwanda. Kuna yule ambaye atakuwa akifanya kazi ya mekanika ya gari ambaye itaharibika. Kwa hivyo kufufua hii viwanda ni kugenerate kazi kwa vijana wetu, na hivyo ndivyo tunataka. Na ndipo hata mkiangalia ule mradi ambao tuko nao pia wa kupanua stima. Jana nilikuwa kule Olongalani upande ya Marsabit. Tunataka kupanua mambo ya kawi ndio watu waweze kupata stima ya kutosha. Hakuna haja mtu atoke kijiji akuja Nairobi ati kwa sababu kwa kijiji hakuna stima. Tunataka mtu ambaye ametoka kule Ishaweri, ambaye ametoka kule Bomet, ambaye ametoka kule Nyalugunga, kila mtu awe na stima kwake, anafanya biashara kwake, sio ati akuja Nairobi na ati stima ni ya watu ya Nairobi peke yake. Hapana. Na kupitia huo mradi sasa, wakati tulikuja kwa serikali tulikuwa na watu 2,300,000, 2.3 million people ambao walikuwa wameunganishwa kwa huduma ya stima katika taifa letu la Kenya, or 2.3 million households. Leo hii wakati tunaongea tuko na zaidi ya 5.8 million households za Wakenya ambayo imeunganishwa kwa stima. Na hii yote ni jukumu letu kama serikali kuhakikisha tumefanya kazi ambaye inasaidia wananchi kuimarisha maisha yao na kufanya biashara na kuanzisha biashara ndogo ndogo ambazo zitawasaidia. Na ndipo hata mradi wetu wa kufungua mabarabara. Mimi nimesema wakati mimi nitakuwa nimeisha, tutakuwa tumeunda barabara zaidi ya kilomita 10,000 katika kila kona ya Kenya. 10,000 kilometers of road katika kila kona ya Kenya. Na ndio hata nyinyi wakulima ambao mmetoka sehemu mbali mbali, hakuna haja ya kusema gari imekwama, maziwa imeharibika. Tunataka nywe mpaka Dandora ama Kiganjo ama Sotik ama Eldoret, unapeleka maziwa yako na unaenda nyumbani na pesa yako. Ile mimi nikimalizia, ningependa directors wetu wa KCC wajue. Hapo awali ni wengine kama nyinyi muliangusha hii factory. Mimi nawaomba nyinyi ambao sasa mmepatiwa kazi, na washukuru kwa kazi njema ambaye mumeendelea kufanya kushikilia haki ya wakulima wenu na kuhakikisha ya kwamba pesa ambayo serikali imetoa inaenda kutimiza ile kazi ambayo ilikuwa inatakiwa kufanya. Lakini msilegee. Msione sasa kwa sababu mmefaulu na hii muanze kulegea. Muanze kualao mambo mengine, panya roots ingine ambazo zinakuja kutuletea shida. Shikilieni hivyo hivyo, na ndio wakulima waweze kufaidika kwa hii kazi ambaye pesa ya serikali ambaye sio ya mtu, ni ya wananchi. Hawa ndio wametoa kodi. Hawa ndio wametoa kodi, na wanataka hiyo kodi itumike kwa njia ambaye itaimarisha maisha yao na kurahisisha biashara zao na ukulima wao. Kwa hivyo mimi nawaomba wenzangu, tafadhali muwe watu ambao watakuwa waaminifu kwa wakulima ambao wamewachagua, muwe watu ambao mtakuwa watiifu kwa wale ambao wamewachagua, na muwe watu ambao mtalinda mali yao kwa njia ambayo inastahili, na ndio hawa wakulima miaka na miaka ambayo itakuja wajue ya kwamba kulikuwa wakati kulikuwa serikali, kulikuwa wakati kulikuwa board of governors, board of directors ambaye ilirudisha ukulima wa maziwa katika taifa letu la Kenya. Na nyinyi wenzangu, kila mtu ukirudi kona yako, ombi langu leo, tuanze sasa kuimarisha ng'ombe zetu. Tuweze sasa, kwa sababu tuko na bull station kadhaa katika sasa taifa la Kenya in very many different corners, tuimarishe ng'ombe zetu. Tuweke ng'ombe sasa za grade ambazo zinatoa maziwa mingi. Sasa tuko na pahali ya kuuza. Hakuna mambo ya kumwaga maziwa tena. Tuko na pahali ya kuuza. Tuimarishe ng'ombe zetu, tuweke ng'ombe za grade ambazo ziko na capacity ya kuproduce maziwa mingi zaidi. Na hiyo ndiyo barabara ya kujenga taifa letu la Kenya na kupanua uchumi wetu wa nchi yetu. Yangu nifikishie hapo, kwa sababu vile mmesikia sasa tunaenda kutembelea walimu. Leo ni siku ya ushirika, siku ya cooperatives. Tunaamini na tunaona na tunajivunia kama nchi, kwa sababu the cooperative movement ya Kenya imefaidi mamilioni na mamilioni ya watu, na tunataka tuendelee kuimarisha cooperatives katika taifa letu la Kenya ambazo zinaunganisha wakulima, walimu na watu mbalimbali kuja pamoja na kufanya kazi tofauti tofauti ambazo zinatusaidia pamoja. The cooperative movement has been a key pillar of the economic success that Kenya is, and we want to continue to encourage all of you cooperators. Endeleeni namna hiyo, tujenge taifa letu la Kenya pamoja. Mungu awabariki, Mungu awalinde, na mkifika manyumbani msalimie wale wote ambao mmewacha. Mwambie Uhuru bado anatembea, anafanya kazi, na yeye hatishatishwi, hataki siasa, lakini yeye anataka kazi tu, hataki mambo mengine. Kazi ya kuimarisha maisha. Si ni namna hiyo? Au nyinyi mnaonaje? Mnataka tufanye kazi au mnataka tuendelee kuchapana kwa mambo ya mdomo? Mnakubaliana na mambo ya kazi? Ni wangapi wanasema wanataka tufanye kazi? Ni namna hiyo wenzangu. Mungu awabariki na walinde. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Excellency. We most humbly request Your Excellency to present a few trophies to these few farmers.
Yes, and that was President Uhuru Kenyatta speaking in Dandora on matters cooperatives as he was officially commissioning the new KCC plant. A milestone there in terms of the processing of milk products in this country, and just ensuring that the cooperative movement is playing its required role in terms of scaling up the capacity and the possibilities that can be realized in terms of building the economic front in this country. And shortly we'll be talking to Mr. Richard Nyakinogo, who is the General Manager, CIC Insurance, focusing on cooperatives, just to get him on board and to get some of his insights. There's a lot happening in the sector. There's been questions around corporate governance. There have been issues around management of depositors' funds. We've also been focusing around the new policy proposals which have been brought forward. So we'll be getting his insights into some of these issues, and just to ensure that we get proper perspective into this. Mr. Nyakinogo, welcome to the show. You're live on NTV. And just to begin the discussion, there's a policy proposal right now being considered by the cabinet, focusing on revamping the regulatory framework in the insurance, in the cooperative sector, I should say. What impact do you anticipate this will have?
Yeah, the new cooperative policy is going to align the roles that the national government is supposed to play in this country, together with what the county government is supposed to play. You remember that the county governments are now playing a role of devolving this function of cooperatives, and we need to get a distinct between what national government can do and what the county government can do. So we had an engagement between the county representatives and the national office, and we were able to come up with that policy. As we speak now, there will be clear separation between those two arms of government.
And there have been challenges around the issues of corporate governance. How serious is this challenge facing cooperatives from your standpoint?
It is clearly a very critical thing at the moment, because if governance is not properly aligned to the cooperative sector, cooperatives cannot thrive as we speak at the moment. Therefore, there is every need for this government, the two arms of government, the national government and the county governments, to ensure that there are clear policies that are assisting the running of these institutions. And you will realize from the new policy that the emphasis have been put and powers have been vested now more on the membership, so that they are able to vet and bring on board people who are more educated and who can now assist the running of the cooperatives.
One of the common challenges afflicting SACCOs or cooperatives at large is the issue where people complain that withdrawal of deposits upon desire to exit becomes a challenge. What are some of the recommendations you could have? I mean, this is something you look at on a day-to-day basis in terms of just streamlining that kind of procedure, whereby if I want to exit a SACCO, then I easily just get my deposits without much of a challenge.
What we've done is that, cooperatives at the moment are liberalized. And because many of the cooperatives have expanded the common bonds, they now know clearly that an efficient cooperative that is going to thrive in this regime is that will be responsive to the needs of the members. So if you want to continue executing your mandate as a cooperative, then there is every reason for you to ensure that your organization is running efficiently and is responsive to the needs of the members. If you fail to do that, because now cooperatives are opened branches all over, they are likely to close one door and move to the next arm of cooperative. So those cooperatives that are going to survive in this particular regime are those that will remain to be very efficient. Yeah.
And you spoke earlier about the issue of devolution and the fact that the Constitution provides that cooperatives are now a devolved function. What are some of the challenges you have faced as cooperatives? Because thus far we have had no legislation ensuring that it demarcates what county governments should do in terms of cooperatives and what the national government should do.
Generally, the cooperative movement has had a few challenges. One of the challenges, of course, we've had over the recent years, particularly in the marketing subsector, is in the areas of governance. It is true that you'll find a number of cooperatives can bring on board members who are not very educated because of the democracy exercise through the elections. And in that way, you will find that certain things may be moving on in the cooperatives that they do not understand. And what we are doing as national organizations is we are trying to bridge this gap by carrying out members' information days, where we are assisting these cooperatives with the capacity buildings and telling them that it's important for them to bring in a very educated team that is able to understand the roles that they are supposed to do as directors or as leaders of the organizations, and thereby assisting in the efficient running of the organization. So this is a job that as CIC Group we are out to ensure that we partner with the movement in the capacity building. Yeah.
And we've been speaking to Mr. Richard Nyakenogo, who is the General Manager focusing on cooperatives at CIC Group. And for now, I hand you over back to Alex, who is my colleague at Upper Hill, who is focusing also on some of the agenda that the President Uhuru Kenyatta will be moving towards, and that will be the commissioning of the Mwalimu Sacco Towers in Upper Hill. Alex.
We are coming to you live from Hill Lane in Upper Hill at the Mwalimu Towers, where we have the President's next stop. We expect the President to come here from Dandora. As you know, today is Ushirika Day, and we are having celebrations marking the cooperative movement, which is an important aspect of the economy in as far as raising savings is concerned, in as far as helping people financially is concerned. Mwalimu National Sacco is one of the largest SACCOs in the country, and it has headquarters here in Mwalimu National, this Mwalimu Towers building, which is a 21-story building. It was built at a cost of 2.3 billion shillings, and we expect the president to come here and officially commission and officially launch this building. We are also looking forward to him just cutting the tape and getting to know much more about the Mwalimu National Sacco and more details about this building. Just to give you some salient features about Mwalimu National Sacco, it is a Sacco that currently has over 95,000 members. It is just close to the 100,000 mark. It is a Sacco that has an asset base of over 40 billion shillings, and last year it gave dividends worth 3 billion shillings. And just to put that into context, that is per person, it was a dividend pay of 10.2%, which is really a good amount if you look at it. If you had put, for example, 1 million shillings in the Sacco, it would mean that you'd get more than 100,000 shillings in dividend per year. And right now, to tell us more about Mwalimu National Sacco, I am joined by the national chairman of the Sacco. He is Wellington Otiende, who is going to tell us more about this particular Sacco. Karibu sana, Wellington.
Thank you.
Just tell us, what is it that we should expect to happen at this location later on?
What we expect is that we are going to have a lot of publication about the society. We are going to tell the public who Mwalimu Sacco is, what we do, where we are, and what do we do to our members.
Mwalimu Sacco is one of the largest SACCOs in the country, and I just got to hear that it adds about 1,000 members, new members every month. What is it that is the secret to adding new membership?
What we are doing is that we are marketing our Sacco to our potential members, and we are also very transparent to our members. We do a lot of accountability and transparency, and we provide quality leadership. We interact with our members, we share with them what we do, and we get a feedback on the way forward. What do members want? We are not, we are very interactive with our members, and therefore the feedback that we get from members helps us also to direct what they expect. Okay. Yes.
Tell us something about the technological platform that Mwalimu National Sacco has invested in.
The technological platform that we are using navigation system now, and we used to have MIS system. We acquired a navigation system in 2015, and it has been able to help us to be where we are today.
Okay. And you have 18 forces nationwide. What is the plan of maybe increasing them, and what is their reach currently?
We have 18 force branches. Now, one of the things that we are doing now is not to continue expanding in terms of the physical branches. We want to ride on technology so that we can be able to reach out to our members. Currently, we have a Go Mobile system where our members are able to access credit facilities without necessarily having to go to a physical branch. That is the direction we are taking. That is the way forward. It is cheaper, and it's helping the Sacco to make more profits, and also to enable us to serve our members very, very well. Okay. Yeah.
Mwalimu National Sacco is just one of the SACCOs, the few SACCOs, if any, that has its headquarters in Upper Hill. What was the rationale for coming this side of the city?
Actually, when I joined this Sacco, it was housed in some small offices in Development House. It grew, acquired a building with some floors in Tomboya, but then we realized that the city center was becoming more and more congested. And the space, as we were expanding, was becoming smaller and smaller. So we had to go slightly out of the city center, where congestion was, we could be able to move out of congestion. We looked around, and we realized that Upper Hill was one of the nearest areas, because when our members are spread throughout the nation, and therefore when they come to the city center, the nearest place where they could be able to get easy access, one of them was Upper Hill. And that is how we acquired here, and we were able to construct the building.
Today is Ushirika Day. Maybe what would your message be to the public in as far as these celebrations are concerned, and especially in as far as also having SACCOs gain more customers is concerned?
My message to the public is that the concept of the cooperative movement is a good thing, and many Kenyans still are not aware. We ought to educate and to sensitize the public that joining hands together to form cooperatives is a noble thing. We need to enable members of the public, of the Kenyan citizens, to know that even if you do not have a common umbrella, the common bond, you can still have your own way of joining together to form a cooperative circle, so that it will pool your resources together and be able to acquire credit facilities and even to improve improve themselves economically. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. That's Wellington Otiende, who is the national chairman of Mwalimu National Sacco. And just maybe to give you maybe some additional information about Mwalimu National Sacco, right where I'm standing behind me, you can see a small-scale replica of the building, Mwalimu National Sacco, which is located here at Hill Lane on Upper Hill. Mwalimu National Sacco, again, as I mentioned, is just one of the few SACCOs that has its headquarters right here in Upper Hill, and this building, which is 21 stories, was built at a cost of 2.3 billion shillings, but right now the valuation of the building is 2.5 billion shillings. And just to tell us even some more information about Mwalimu National Sacco, I am joined again by the chairman, the national vice chairman of Mwalimu National Sacco, Michael Waweru, who will tell us more about some developments that Mwalimu National Sacco has in the real estate sector. Maybe just Michael, to begin with, tell us what it is that you have done at Kisaju.
Well, Kisaju, we have done 872 houses. As you can see them, they are within the affordable rate. 3/4 of the houses are within the 4 million. Our members have bought the houses, but we are still selling them to the members of public. And this is a major project for Mwalimu. We have the shopping center inside there. We have a school, we have a swimming pool, and it's a good place for Kenyans to live in. So we are ahead of Big Four agenda.
Yes. Just tell us about how members of the public can maybe access or get to purchase those buildings if they are interested in them, and where exactly they are located.
Well, the houses are located in Kisaju, between Isinya and Kitengera. And if a member of public wants to purchase the house, he comes to Mwalimu. There is a department that deals with that purchase, and he'll be able to be advised on how to go about it.
How has Mwalimu National Sacco's experience been in as far as getting into the real estate sector in terms of making profits, or has it been a challenge to manage this sector?
Yeah, it has been. It has been a challenge. But you see, we did the houses at low cost for our members, and therefore we are not after getting profit for the houses. So that is the advantage our members have. And for now, the real estate purchase is low. So you find even the members of public is like they are down in terms of the purchase. But we know the economy is going to do well. And with the Big Four agenda, we are likely to dispose the houses. Yes.
Which other sectors of investment is Mwalimu National Sacco invested in, or where would you say are your other flagship developments?
Yes, as the chairman said, we have invested in technology. In this building here, we have a state-of-the-art data center. We are the only Sacco in this country, and probably in Africa, that has come up with a data center. And this data center is to help cooperatives in order to store their data and also to transmit the information from this place. And this is one of the areas His Excellency the President is going to launch the data center. Yes.
Thank you very much. That was Michael Waweru, who is the National Vice Chairman of Mwalimu National Sacco. As you've heard, there is also an investment in a data center which the President is going to come and commission. This is an interesting line, or an interesting development in as far as SACCOs are concerned, that a SACCO is even going into a data center. That is something that is interesting. We can also see the Kisaju development, which has 832 units, and it is based in Kisaju. This, as you've heard, is open to members of the public right now, and if you'd want to buy a house from Mwalimu Kisaju Park, you can just come to their offices, visit them and talk to them about it, because they are selling these houses to the public. public. And also just to mention that Upper Hill, we know that Upper Hill is a place where real estate prices are really high, but Mwalimu National Sacco, because of its size, it was able to purchase land in Upper Hill and also be able to invest in this place. This is where they have their headquarters, which is the Mwalimu Towers, which the president is going to come and officially commission. And it's a 23-story building, which is worth 2.3, was built at a cost of 2.3 billion shillings. But we hear that the current price is 2.5 billion shillings as per the most recent evaluation. So we do expect the president to come here and commission this building plus also the data center. So we are looking forward to that. And maybe just to mention some other salient features about the SACCO itself. It is a SACCO that has 40 branches. It is managed through 40 branches and with 339 delegates. That is the kind of system through which it has a governance structure, and that is what has made Mwalimu Sacco remain among the top national SACCOs because of the governance structure that it has. It also has 331 employees deployed in different parts of the country, and we would expect that the headquarters is where the bulk of the employees are. It has 18 FOSA branches nationwide, meaning that people can go to various branches and deposit and get money from them. But it has also invested in the mobile phone platform. It has an asset base of 46 billion shillings, which is even competing with some banks, some would say. So that is the asset base of Mwalimu National Sacco. It is truly a giant Sacco in the cooperative movement. And in 2018, it paid dividends worth 3 billion shillings. This was about 10.2% per individual, and that, as far as the interest rates are concerned, it is a really high rate of return, because it means that if you had put your money at Mwalimu National Sacco, you would have got a good dividends pay. And so we do expect that maybe even from this event, we are going to have more people, more Kenyans maybe interested in Mwalimu National Sacco, since it's one of the SACCOs that is pretty stable and has a huge asset base, as well as 95,000 members. And from the 95,000 members, we've been told that the number of members that it is targeting for this current year is 101,000. So we do expect it, we do hope that it is going to reach that watershed 100,000 mark in terms of members. And so we are hoping that it's going to be successful in its endeavor, and we're also going to see whether it's going to get more, it's going to be able to pay higher dividends. But at 10%, that's already a high rate of dividends when compared to banks and other SACCOs. So the other thing about Mwalimu National Sacco that we know, that we've been told, is that it gets about 1,000 new members every month. And this is why the number of the membership keeps on rising. Right now it's up to 95,000, but with each month, each getting 1,000 members, we expect that it's going to hit that 100,000 mark before the end of the year. So that is it from Mwalimu Towers. That is it from Mwalimu Towers here in Upper Hill at Hill Lane. We are going to give you some more details. President comes, we are going to follow him up as he launches the various flagship projects here in Mwalimu Towers. We are going to keep you updated. This is the wall-to-wall coverage of Ushirika Day TV. I now take you back to Julian Samboko, my colleague, who is at KICC.
Thank you very much, Alex. That's some very spot-on coverage around Mwalimu Sacco, which is the largest Sacco around this country, with 40 billion shillings worth of assets and 29 billion shillings disbursed in terms of loans, and that is quite massive. And we're still at KICC, where we are seeing droves of masses just coming into the KICC, an indication of how large this movement is. For about 11 million members according to official statistics. And there have been a number of issues around this particular sector, and we want to bring now Madam Angela Kivundo, who is now the marketing manager at Nation Sacco, just come on board and share with us some insights. And we'd like to focus on the challenges we've been having as a sector in terms of corporate governance. How do you think this can be better streamlined such that depositors' savings don't disappear, as we have seen in some instances?
Thank you so much, Amboga. Basically, looking at the challenges that are affecting all SACCOs, what happens is, as a SACCO, are you regulated by SASRA? Nation SACCO is regulated by SASRA currently, and we are able to safeguard the members' funds and ensure their deposits are safe with us. So members need to do some due diligence before joining a SACCO and saying, the SACCO I'm joining, are they regulated? So that I ensure my funds are safe, and I know when I invest, I'll get my funds and they'll be there as future goes on.
And one of the key things which has been mentioned lately is that SACCOs are largely dominated by an aging population, indicating that the youth, the young people, are not taking up this particular investment vehicle, if I could call it. What do you think can be done to woo this younger population just to have SACCO savings?
What I would encourage the SACCO industry currently is the young people feel, why should I bring my 1,000 shillings to be held by the SACCO? Because definitely what we have is non-withdrawable deposits in the SACCO sector. So I ask myself, as a student, I have like 2,000 shillings. Do I invest this money in the SACCO and I don't get it back? So the SACCO should come up with a product suitable for these young people. Maybe operate like a FOSA, strictly, whereby I can come invest and maybe after a period of time, I can withdraw my money back. Develop a special saving to be customized for the students, such that in case I save and I want the money maybe after 3 or 6 months, I can get my money back without getting to be told you need to wait for 60 days to get your money back. And you realize most of our young or maybe the college or the school going age, majority of them are not keen on getting their savings as early as now to start investing, whereby no, I don't have like to look for maybe some plot somewhere to buy because I know I'm living with my parents, I'm comfortable. Why do I need to join a SACCO right now and have my money held somewhere? I need money that I can be withdrawing anytime. So the SACCO can develop a special product where these people are encouraged, maintain a FOSA account, save and withdraw the money at will. We can.
And you've mentioned quite a bit about FOSA account, and this is front office savings. If you could just clarify for us, what is FOSA in terms of the detail? What is it really about as a product?
Basically, FOSA is like a current account. In banks, you have the current accounts, but in SACCOs, you call them the front office operations. This is whereby a member can come, deposit money, and withdraw at will. We have Visa-branded ATMs. You can access your money using mobile banking. So you realize that it's a place like the way you can move to a bank, put your money, withdraw at will. We operate that is why we call it FOSA. We can also process your salaries through the same FOSA, where I can have my money coming in, I withdraw at will, I deposit at will, maybe using PayBill, or wherever I am. We can do transfers from your account to another bank, we pay your bills. That is the benefit of our FOSA, and that is maybe FOSA in a nutshell, sorry.
And we also are aware that we have the BOSA on the other side. Just speak to this issue a bit.
Basically, BOSA is whereby now, me as a member, I come and join a SACCO. And we operate something called the non-withdrawable deposits. And in a SACCO setup, we call members shareholders. I need to buy shares in a particular SACCO and I need to do the monthly contribution. So that in case I want to borrow, a SACCO can give me maybe 4 times of my savings or 3 times my savings. That will only happen if I've been saving. So that is basically BOSA is where we save our money. We don't withdraw at will. It's called non-withdrawable. I need to save so that I can be able to borrow 3 times what I have saved. Ideally, it's just creating an attitude of financial discipline in a member. Yeah.
And many times when you speak to people about cooperatives and SACCOs especially, the question is, what benefits can I get from this? And they're not aware about things like dividends. What are dividends and how often can someone get them from a SACCO?
The dividends, this is now what we pay if you're a shareholder. I buy shares in a SACCO, and as SACCOs we have different financial periods. Like in Nation SACCO, our financial year starts in January and ends in December. The following year, we call for an annual general meeting whereby we sit down and tell members from all the profits we have made as a SACCO, we need to share our profits with members. So we pay them dividends on an annual basis based on how did this SACCO perform. So we set a particular rate and we pay members the dividends.
And when I attend the annual general meeting of my SACCO, for example, what are some of the key things I should focus on just to ensure that this SACCO remains financially stable?
The major things you need to focus on as a member when you attend the AGMs, we normally have the annual financial statements to members. You need to look at how is my SACCO performing. Is our loan book growing? Is our membership growing? The members we are bringing on board, Are they members who are saving, or are they just dormant members? What is the performance of this SACCO as at that period? Then be very keen on looking at the interest rates and the dividends rate that are being paid out, that can maybe give you a red flag. Look at the management team and the board. Are they in one accord, or what is are there any other issues that may be hindering or maybe are affecting our deposits as a SACCO, and are we still liquid in the market? Are we reached a point whereby if a member applies for a loan, are we like taking a month to process a loan, or are we sticking to our values that we process loans within 1 or 3 weeks? But do we only say to members that if you need an emergency loan, you can get within 1 day? Do we check like 3 weeks? That is something that's supposed to throw a red flag to a member. So members need to look at the performance of this particular SACCO and the management. How are people behaving with our funds?
Some of the skeptics out here normally argue that if SACCOs are extending loans at 12% per annum, which is typically the case, and banks have now come down to 13%, why should we still go to SACCOs?
I want to believe if you join a SACCO, you are guaranteed, number one, this is a SACCO whereby I will get returns from my savings. I get my interest at the end of the year on my savings. I'll be paid dividends on my shares at the end of a particular year. The SACCO will recognize me and tell me, Angela, we invite you to our annual general meeting. Look at our bank setup. People walk around claiming, this is my bank. Thumb testing, this is my bank. But you realize, whenever they get these interests, they only put them on papers. The SACCO will recognize me and tell me, Angela, come, we have our AGM, let us share the profits we made. But in a bank setup, no one will call you to tell you that this is what you have done. So I think somehow I would encourage members, invest more in SACCOs, because definitely we have a variety of products. If I want something, maybe I want to invest in land, I want mortgages, we have quite a vast products for our members.
And just as we wind up now, there's a question around why are the loans being disbursed tied to 3 times your savings? Why not more than that?
If you look around, you will realize that the issue of defaulting is quite going up. In the formal sector, guys are losing their jobs day and night. People are getting retrenched. The moment we give you more than your savings, what is our guarantee? What is our security as a SACCO? Remember, the money we are loaning you is the members' money. The moment I loan you, you lose your job, or maybe your business is not so good. Tomorrow you may not be able to come back and repay your loan. So your loan is likely to go into default. The guys who guaranteed you this loan are likely to start paying your loan, which is also very, very painful to pay somebody's money that you did not even use. So we are keen at looking, let us give this person something that it is within your savings, so that the SACCO does not lose a lot. And we also protect the members' money. That's why we insist. We're only giving you 3 times what you have saved. But you have other products that we are doing 4 times, whereby we will have the security being maybe a title deed or a logbook. So we are looking at those values.
Final question. You've mentioned the issue of non-performing loans, and we've seen the industry statistics indicate it is rising. Why is it that this is the case among SACCOs?
We realize that SACCOs have been very lenient. When it comes to you apply for a loan, Omboga, because I know you, I only put my finger and a pen, and I don't do some due diligence. I know Omboga, yes. What are the other business that Omboga does? I know him as my colleague at work, but I don't know what this money is for. So I think members are not keen on reading what are the rules that will bind me the moment I put my pen and paper to sign for you as my guarantor. I don't know you. The moment I sign for you, you get the money. Things might not be so good. Maybe you want to invest in a business, the business collapses. So you realize that as a guarantor, I am left with the burden of paying this money that you used back to the SACCO.
Thank you very much. We have been speaking to Madam Angela Kivundo, who is the marketing manager at Nation SACCO, shedding insight into matters of FOSA, BOSA. What are some of the things you should be looking at when you attend your SACCO's AGM, and how can you ensure that you do ample due diligence that your SACCO remains financially stable? So we'll be keeping you in touch with the latest details coming from the KICC, but for now I hand you back to Lillian Kiarie, who is in Dandora.
It has been a chilly affair here in Dandora, Nairobi County, where the largest processing factory of the new KCC was being commissioned by President Uhuru Kenyatta today after it received equipment to modernize it in order to increase capacity and in order to boost productivity. So we know that this is a process that has been ongoing since 2016, where 1 billion shillings has been used to be able to revamp the factories from Eldoret, Sotik, Nyahururu, and also here in Dandora. So the problem that we usually face with milk farmers is usually the lack of capacity to be able to store their milk. So initially a farmer is supposed to be able to get the milk to the factory, and once they get it, the milk comes here and it is pasteurized and sterilized so that it's able to be packaged and sold to consumers. So the process is one tedious one that requires a lot of facilities, and by this plant today being revamped, this is a thing that is going to be able to be done. So among the people who've been able to talk today is Mr. Munya, who is the CS, and we've also had Mike Sonko, the governor of Nairobi County, and Uhuru Kenyatta, the president of Kenya. So Uhuru has warned the directors of KCC because the organization has been having some challenges in the past with misappropriation of funds and also sometimes just management issues. He's told them that with the whole financing that has happened over the last few years, they are hoping that this time no misappropriation of funds is reported and that it is able to run smoothly. So the plan today is to be able to increase capacity, and this plant here in Dandora has been able to increase its capacity from 80,000 milk in a day, processing 80,000 liters of milk in a day, to 160. So it's double. And we also know that the farmers' payout since the beginning of this has been able to grow from 2.5 billion shillings annually to 4.5. And the CEO of New KCC has told us that they hope by the end of this modernization, they are able to increase it to 6 billion shillings. So in part, this is the government will have been able to achieve the Big Four agenda of being able to boost productivity of dairy farmers and also increasing capacity of these state-owned milk processing factory. So among other things that the president has been able to say is that he will be able to make a stop in Nyahururu, the new KCC plant in Nyahururu, and also he's going to go to Kiganjo later on next year. So among other issues that we've been able to look at is with the issue of the Kenya Dairy Board bill, which was actually dismissed for some time so that it could be reconsidered because it was talking about the introduction of levies, has been discussed also, and the move is to ensure that all stakeholders herein, the small-scale farmers, come to agreement and they are comfortable with the levies that are charged. Initially, they had said that a farmer who is milking milk from their own shamba will be charged, or a levy will be introduced so that they can be able to contribute. But right now that has been set aside so that we can be able, all stakeholders can be able to see the way forward in unison. Mr. Sigei, who is the CEO of KCC, joins me now, and you can just tell us what has the process of modernization been like?
Thank you very much. The modernization program of New KCC started 3 years ago in 2016, and we have so far successfully commissioned Elred factory. His Excellency the President was there. We did Sotik factory, and today we are delighted as the KCC family and the dairy farmers of this country that this morning we hosted His Excellency the President to commission our biggest processing facility, which accounts for 40% of our total business. We believe that this is going to revolutionize the dairy industry in this country, and it will actually benefit the farmers of this country. So far, that this facility is actually, the amount of milk that we are receiving in this facility, the payout to the farmers is 2 billion per year. So with the expanded capacity that we have installed today, that we are able to process 160, but the capacity we can do 300,000 liters per day. So what we are saying now are that the farmers, especially from the Mount Kenya region, where we are getting our supplies from Nyeri, Meru and Embu and Murang'a and Kiambu will benefit, and the Kajiado counties will benefit from this facility, and it will go a long way in improving their incomes and their livelihoods. What we are trying to do as a new KCC is to ensure that we are transforming livelihoods in the dairy industry. That is very important, and this has been very critical for us. When we started this modernization program, we knew that it will actually stabilize the dairy industry in this country. You realize that in the agricultural sector, the dairy industry is actually relatively stable. And we attribute this stability in the dairy industry because of the modernization program that new KCC, the stability of the prices of the farmers. And we also, that in some season when there's a lot of milk in this country, the farmers now are sure that they have market. And when they produce, because new KCC in the Kitale, their Eldred factory and in Kiganjo factory, we are able to convert all the excess milk into milk powder. So the farmers of this country are assured of market for their produce. We are able also to stabilize, that would act as a food security. In the deficit months, in the dry season, we are able to reconvert that and be able to assure our consumers a consistent supply of our products. And of course, the modernization program also has given our consumers that assurance that the products that is coming from new KCC are high quality. We are also looking at the export market. Now that we have enhanced capacity, we want to be able to give our farmers, our dairy farmers, market out there. So we are looking at the region to be able to have our products. Already we are in Tanzania, we are in Sudan, and we are expanding. We want to take advantage of the African free trade area which has been signed. We believe that will revolutionize the way the dairy industry in this country. The potential is huge, and we are committed to deliver that to the dairy farmers of this country. I want to assure the Kenyans and the dairy farmers of this country that new KCC is stable. This institution has traveled a long journey. But for the last 3 years, there is a lot of transformation that has happened. We believe and we are committed as management and the board that this is the spirit. This is what we want to assure the Kenyans, that this institution is going places. We are repositioning it once again to be the premium dairy in the region.
Okay, talking of diversification of some products, you can maybe tell us some of the products you have. I can see yogurt here, we can see powder milk over there, fresh milk, UHT. You can tell us some of the products that you have and what you aim at having in the near future.
Thank you very much. One of the most popular products especially that we are producing from this factory is our popular mala. Mala is our #1 fermented product that many Kenyans have gotten used to. This is coming from the Dandora factory, and which we have enhanced our capacity. We were also assuring our customers that now Mala will be coming in plenty, and you will be having that product coming to you. The other products is the yogurt, the fermented lines that we have actually expanded in this facility. The yogurts, the younger generation now are changing their preference and their taste, and we want to be able to meet the consumer needs. The other most important thing is the butter. The KCC butter is the most popular brand that we are also producing in this factory. We want to assure our customers. We know that in the past, many of our consumers have been saying that we are not finding our butter. With the expansion that we've done today, we want to assure our customers that the KCC, the finest butter that we have, will be in your shelves, and we believe that will have the consumers getting certain. We are also doing a lot of R&D research for development of new products. Next month, we will be releasing our first lactose-free milk. We find that there are Kenyans who are lactose intolerant, who don't enjoy taking milk. We have a solution. New KCC will be releasing the first lactose-free milk next month, coming from our processing facility in Eldred. And we believe that anybody who is having a challenge will have a product that they are able also to consume milk. You will not have issues taking as much milk as you want, because that product is what will sort your problems on issues of discomfort that many Kenyans have been having.
Okay. Talking of market research, what are the trends in the market? What do Kenyans want?
Unlike the past, most of the Kenyans have been used to, of course, taking fresh milk. But there's a trend that Kenyans now are developing, that, they are trending to high-value products, and that is our area of focus. We are actually focusing on high-value products, that the younger generation want to see trendy products like the yogurt and the others, unlike taking the fresh milk. So that is our focus. That is where we want to assure that, the consumers, the younger generation are also on board. As new KCC grows, we are also building. We believe, the older generation were used to the KCC, the original cases, when we were running the school milk programs in the previous government. But we believe we want to carry along the younger generation also with the trendy yogurts that we have in our shelves today.
Okay, and finally, maybe you can tell us more about the turnover after the modernization. What can we expect to be the turnover of the new KCC company?
Yes, the turnover currently of new KCC is now getting to over 10 billion. In the last 3 years, we've increased by 4 billion since we started modernization program. So this has actually turned around this institution to profitability. This is one of the government institutions who are now in the profitability part, giving dividends to the government. While we've been able to get support, we are also giving dividends to the government because we have turned around, we have the company is making profit, and we want to ensure that this is sustained and we continue with the part. And the efficiency that has been installed, we also pass it to the farmers with competitive prices. That will benefit the entire value chain and involve the farmers in along the value chain in terms of transport, so that the benefits are huge.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Sigei. So still in Dandora, we know that today is the Ushirika Day, which is the day for corporators across the world. Previously, we were able to celebrate Ushirika Day in other counties, which usually happens the first week of July. But this Ushirika Day was stalled in Nairobi County because the president said that he's going to honor the invitation to come to Nairobi and be able to officially commission this plant here in Dandora. Among the things that usually happen during Ushirika Day, we usually have like a planned out 3-month event of what happens. At the very first, the people from the Ministry of Cooperatives usually come together with the SACCO Society's regulatory authority, Kenya Union of Savings and Credit Cooperators, and also they have various leaders from SACCOs who come together and plan out what is going to happen in the event towards the culmination of this Ushirika Day celebration, which is set to be held tonight, when the winners of Ushirika are going to be announced at Safari Park. So they were able to have a blood drive earlier on. They were also able to have a play day, which Ushirika members, if you remember of any cooperative, you have a fun day where you come with your family and you have a sports day. There's a golf tournament, and then finally there's usually the event, the culmination of it being in Nairobi County, where there is a chief guest who comes and is able to flag off the process and also to be able to announce the winners, which cooperative society has been able to perform. So we're going to go back to Julian's. Back to you, Julian's, in studio.
Thank you very much, Lillian Carey from Dandora. Quite some exhaustive detail there in terms of speaking to stakeholders and seeing what they think about what this market wants in terms of cooperative products and the developing trends that we are seeing. But we're coming back to KICC, where I want to speak to Sally Oyimbo, who is a director at the Kenya Bankers Association Cooperative SACCO. And Sally and I will be focusing a lot more on the issues of the youth and the population taking up these products. Sally, if I could start, we don't have, rather, data shows us that SACCOs have a lot of aging population. It suggests that the youth are not quite aggressive in taking up this product. Why is this the case, and what can be done?
I think, thank you very much for having me. And as you rightly put it, the youth don't seem to be very interested in the cooperative movement, and we are therefore seeing an aging population in the cooperative sector. The reason why this would be so is, one, the youth are into things which happen very fast. They're into digital banking. They're into things which do not take very long. While the cooperative movement is something that is based on numbers. It's based on communities and people getting together so that they can better their livelihoods as it were.
And in terms of the products that you can develop that which target the youth, do you feel the cooperative movement is doing enough just to ensure that at least we have this bracket being catered for?
Currently, a little more emphasis is being put on in that sector. As we speak, I'm a director at Kenya Bankers SACCO, and what we are doing is we are getting youth committees in our different regions. We have, for example, 8 regions in the country, and we are going round. Actually, I have been tasked with going round to make sure that we get products which suit the youth, things that are more interested, things that they would be more interested in. And how are we doing this? We actually are forming committees where they tell us what kind of products they would like to patronize. And in the we've actually launched 3 of those committees at Kenya Bankers. And the common theme that is coming through is, one, they need more digital banking. For example, they need to be able to access their loans online, while the cooperative movement, as it were, is based on guarantor, where you go around and find people to sign for you forms. The youth are not interested in that. What they're telling us is they want to be able to, at the click of a button, be able to apply for a loan. Secondly, they are more interested in things like the mobile banking, internet banking. They want to be able to, once they join the SACCO movement, they want to be able to access their account. They want to be able to see their account real time and be able to transact with the cooperative as they would do in the banking sector. So those are some of the things that we are hearing. And then they're also interested in, while most of the youth are interested in the money market area, they're also interested in getting properties. But the cooperative movement has housing that is not really affordable for them. So the kind of interventions that we are coming up with are letting the youth come together in groups, be able to save as a group and be able to get this money while they have not been able to save for a very long time. So the other thing that we see the youth would want is be able to get these products very fast and get money very fast. So that's another area that we've looked at in the with the youth at, for example, Kenya Bankers, where I serve at currently.
And corporate governance is a key subject whenever it comes to cooperatives. We've seen a number of your entities, rather I should say, in the SACCO movement making headlines and for the wrong reasons. How can this be streamlined? Because anytime we speak to the youth about this particular subject, the question is, but how can we be sure they're stable?
That's a very good question, and actually it's a very controversial one right now. The cooperative movement or the cooperative SACCO institution is a government, it's a public institution. It's supposed to be governed by the laws and regulations. If we mirror it with the financial sector, you'll find that CBK has got a handle on the activities of banks in the financial sector. When we come to the cooperative or SACCO sector, the regulations have not been very stringent, but that has changed and is changing very quickly. One, right now we have SASRA who are actively regulating the SACCOs or the cooperatives with front office. So they're giving regulations, they're giving us, for example, financial controls, where each SACCO is being tasked with holding a certain deposit base for it to operate as a SACCO, making sure that the financial ratios are okay. So that way, you'll be able to make sure that any cooperative society that is instituted does not misuse the members' funds. Secondly, you'll find that there are several training sessions, several awareness sessions that have now been rolled out, where the cooperative movement is actively participating in. The government through EACC has also taken up this mantle, because the cooperative movement is supposed to help the common mwananchi, and anytime somebody joins the movement, they need to be comfortable and they need to be assured that their money is not going to be misused. So those, you'll find those trainings are really helping. Where and then also other than the trainings, the directors of the different institutions are being asked to declare their wealth. They're being asked to do that on an annual basis, where you're supposed to declare when you join the directorship, this is what I have, and as we proceed, this is what I am amassing. That is supposed to take care of any temptation where a director would want to enrich themselves with the members' money. So you'll find, if we look at, for example, the Ekezas of this world, you'd find they have not been regulated per se by the cooperative movement, by SASRA, by the proper regulations, because from where I sit, they're not particularly SACCOs. Yeah, so when something is a cooperative institution and it's a SACCO, there are very clear regulations that we are supposed to abide by, and that should be able to give our members the assurance that when they bring their money to us, we are able to look after it and be able to give them returns. Yeah.
I spoke to the Cabinet Secretary earlier this week, and he mentioned that in the new policy proposal, the revised policy, the goal is to streamline the issue of regulation such that right now there are overlapping mandates between SASRA and the Ministry of Cooperatives. How do you think this is bound to impact the sector as a whole in terms of just ensuring that there are clear demarcations between the oversight being exercised?
I think this is a very noble gesture because the Ministry of Cooperatives has as much as they've been putting together policies and guidelines that the cooperatives are supposed to run by. I think SASRA is better placed because they are now a governance body, while the Ministry of Cooperatives is more of a government institution. I think SASRA has got the capabilities to be able to come up with the actual guidelines because the cooperatives do not only look at they look at making sure that an institution that comes on board is a legit institution by them meeting the basic regulations, but that is at a basic level. Because the membership is becoming a little more sophisticated. In the olden days, if you allow me to say so, the whole point of cooperatives was people wanted to join the cooperatives, put their money together, borrow as they guarantee each other, and be able to make their livelihoods better. What does that mean? Buying a plot here, taking your child to school. And even if you look at the products for the cooperatives, those are how they were skewed. But as days move, as time has progressed, we find that the demands of the population has become a little more sophisticated, where the population is expecting returns, while the previous generation was just expecting to better themselves by borrowing among themselves. So as we are becoming more sophisticated, it therefore means that the money that is being churned into the financial system is becoming a little bit is increasing. As it were, we contribute quite a big chunk to the Kenya's DGP as it is right now. So when it reaches that point, and we're finding that members want to get their money, so so right now cooperatives have front office where you can walk in and withdraw your money. Secondly, the guarantee system is not quite working right now because in the employment sector, the employment has become it's not guaranteed. You're not permanent and pensionable. You're permanent until the day your department closes. Therefore, it means if members are depositing money into the SACCO, then the dynamics change. That's why we need a better oversight authority, which is SASRA, where we are saying you can when you walk into your cooperative, you should be able to get your money there and then. And as it were, if the members now are asking for greater returns, it puts pressure on the directors of the cooperatives to try and use whatever means necessary to be able to give their membership a great return, and that needs to be controlled. And actually, if I may say so, I think that's one of the great wins of SASRA right now, where they are very clear that if you're a cooperative society, you do not get into investments like buildings and things like that, because that's not our speciality, quote unquote. So then you'll need an investment vehicle to be able to run that. So that has been brought about by the increased sophistication. So that, if you ask me, would bring more sanity into the movement.
But Sally, to be fair, if I'm demanding a great return from my SACCO, and then my SACCO is constricted in terms of what it can do, how is it supposed to deliver? Because many would ask then, if you look at the data breakdown in terms of income streams for SACCOs, many rely on in excess of 60% from loans and advances. How are they supposed to deliver a great return?
That's a very good question. There are several ways you can tweak your loans just to make sure that you're still giving your membership a great return. One of the ways is you can go into mobile banking. We've seen from the rest of the financial sector how mobile banking can be able to push you to another level altogether without you churning in any resources. What does that mean for the SACCOs? It therefore means that the SACCOs need to be able to take care of their systems. Their systems need to be a little more sophisticated, where we are not just we are not just looking at the borrowing and lending as it were in the past. we have to be more creative, and that would include things like mobile banking. Secondly, the other thing that we can play around with as a SACCO is trying to tweak the products so that they fit the different categories of the clientele. Where we are not saying, in the past, the products have been a development loan, education loan, shamba loan. That's about it. But now, how do you cater for, as we was talking about the youth, how do you cater for them in this kind of era? What that means is you're supposed to, the SACCOs are now playing around with the product features to be able to fetch in more money because the income streams, as you put it, have now been restricted. The other thing that SACCOs are now doing is, whereas the investment has been taken to a whole other vehicle, but it doesn't mean that you cannot still partner with your investment arm to be able to give your members a better return. What would that mean? Your investment arm would identify development. Your members are interested in that development. From the SACCO, what you can do to get more income is to be able to fund your members to buy this without you necessarily being the ones doing the investment as the SACCO. So how this works is the cooperatives have now gotten into a scenario where they provide longer duration loans. And they're able to, even right now, more sophisticated SACCOs like the police SACCO, they're able to profile their customers. We are seeing them able to profile their customers, giving differential rates to different members. That ensures that you cut across your different clientele. Another example is at Kenya Bankers, we have a product for our high-end customers, where if you have a savings of 2 million and above, you are entitled to a little more than the normal member would be able to get. That way, you're able to supplement your income stream, which is thinning, so that you're able to meet both the demands. You're able to give your customers, who are now judging us based on our rebates at the end of the year, while you're still operating within a constrained playing field. Another way of looking at it is we have a cooperative bank, which is one of our affiliated banks. What they're doing is they're giving us other interventions like the ATM cards. They're giving us the ATM cards platforms that the SACCOs can be able to use to be able to get to their members at a minimum cost, and without their members having to physically come to their branches. That also helps you get money without pumping in a lot of investment on it. Yes.
Thank you. And we've been speaking to Madam Sally Oyimbo, who is at the Kenya Bankers SACCO. And I'd like to bring in Dan Maanzo, the Honorable, just to give us some insights into the developments today. It's a big day for the country, Ushirika Day. What role do you think SACCOs can continue to play in terms of economic development for Kenya?
Yes, SACCOs and cooperatives generally in the country are very good for development. SACCOs is where people save their money. They borrow, on very cheap rates, and they're able to develop. So we keep on encouraging Kenyans to join a SACCO. I am in the committee in Parliament which is managing cooperatives in the country and oversighting cooperatives. And there's now a Ministry of Cooperatives. We have a department in trade, industry and cooperatives. And therefore, when you save in a SACCO or in any group, some of the SACCOs are very small. Table banking, it helps you grow. You can borrow money, you can educate your children, you can build a house, you can build a business. So SACCOs are very important. Saving credit unions are very, very important for the country. And I'm encouraging all Kenyans, because already the movement has 14 million adults. I'm encouraging as many Kenyans as possible to join a SACCO. It could be from a common employer, it could be, from professionals like lawyers, they have their own SACCO. Every sector, you can begin somewhere and grow and have savings. This is what we have the savings now for all the SACCOs in Kenya Kenya shilling 300 billion. And this money is borrowed, you know, from Mwalimu Sacco, Harambee Sacco, the Cooperative Bank. These are the institutions which work together. Now, recently we also have the Cooperative University. You saw there are students here performing. It's part of the movement. There is the housing cooperatives, which the president is launching right now. And they are doing construction work, you know, the members in the country. The only challenge has been corruption, or some people fake. Yes, cooperative governance, and some people fake that they are running a cooperative when they are not. Because the Commissioner of Cooperatives should be able to register a cooperative, should be able to be verified. It is one of now the devolved functions under the Constitution. The counties are organizing. One of the best examples where the cooperative movement has done well is in Meru County. From the days of Munya, who is now the minister, the CS Munya, Makueni County, where I come from. I'm here with quite a number of cooperators who have come from Makueni to celebrate Ushirika Day. Ushirika Day is celebrated all over the world. And we have KUSCO now, the umbrella body for SACCOs. And internationally, we have something called World Council of Credit Unions. We have the umbrella body called Cooperative Alliance of Kenya, which is here, which is hosting this event. And internationally, we have the Cooperative Alliance, which falls under ILO. So it's a big thing. It's all over the world. And the Kenyans have done the best in Africa when it comes to savings and the cooperatives generally.
Mheshimiwa, you talked about the issue of cooperatives being a devolved function. Yes. And we know, and I spoke to CS Munya about this, yes. Ever since 2010, no legislation has been passed to demarcate what the counties do and what the national government should do as far as SACCOs are concerned. Yes. What do you think is the way forward in terms of streamlining this issue of mandate?
The only law which has passed through Parliament, and I was part of it, was making sure that ICT is employed in cooperatives. The other laws are still pending between the National Assembly and the Senate, because the laws relating to cooperatives must go to Senate. So I want to agree with you that we must now pass laws to make sure now we actualize devolution in the country, and as far as cooperatives are concerned. You know, they are at the grassroots, they are at the national level, and they are at international level. So internationally, Kenya is doing very well. At national level is the policy. What is the policy of cooperatives in the country? And then at county level is where now the activities should take place, and where smaller cooperatives and SACCOs are managed. At the national level, we should be able to make sure that there is a law which separates the roles, so that the counties know what they are doing, and the national activities are known, and we can coordinate the corporate. So I want to agree with you. We need to do much more. We need to do much more to make sure that there is proper legislation and there is proper order. But it all begins with a sessional paper which explains the policy, so that we have a policy at the national level and we have a policy at the local level. And that's why you see the president is very keen, and that's why he's hosting this function today, to make sure that nationally, at the president's level, that the government is supporting cooperatives in the country, and the people should have, enough confidence to join cooperatives, to make sure they are well managed, that we have no cases of where people are losing their money. And before you join a cooperative, you must make sure it is registered, and that there are cooperative officers from the county level to ascertain that your money is not being stolen, and to ascertain that you are not investing with a crook. But by and large, it's been very successful.
And there's the question around overlapping mandates. We know we have the SASRA regulated cooperatives, then we have those directly under the Ministry of Cooperatives itself. In terms of just ensuring that at least there's clarity around this, what at the policy level can be done, sir?
Well, though the policy now is pending to be discussed in Parliament, we have the Commissioner of Cooperatives, and the SASRA deals with a certain threshold where the savings are quite high, and where there is likelihood of a mistake, and where you want to make sure that money is not lost from the public. The bigger cooperatives like Harambee Sacco, which are bigger than banks, they are regulated by SASRA, and I believe the Commissioner's office should be strengthened. And then originally we had arranged for the county commissioners, so that the county commissioners, 47 of them, coordinate with the national commissioner, so that the records and the register with the Commissioner of Cooperatives is equally shared, and you can find on a touch of a button what SACCO or what cooperative is registered where. So there is a role of a county commission, and there is a role of the national commissioner. The commissioner is still in the law, but it has to be in a way that the two work together, so that whatever is happening in the counties, the commissioner knows. Because the commissioner of the cooperatives is the senior most technical officer of this event. Yes.
And you talked about a little bit about corporate governance, which you know has been a key challenge for a number of SACCOs. How do you feel we can move forward from the kind of challenges we've seen with a number of SACCOs where funds, savings for depositors are embezzled?
We need to improve on the legislation to make sure that we have a better law too. And secondly, we must have practices which are very, very strict, so that, and this comes from the policy, so that we have procedures which are followed. And now with the introduction of ICT, you are able to regulate and manage cooperatives much better. Yes.
And I was reading the draft review policy for cooperatives, and one of the proposals is that we need a lender of last resort for cooperatives, just the same way we have the Central Bank of Kenya for commercial banks. From where you sit as a policy stakeholder, how do you think this would work out in terms of just getting such an entity on board?
By strengthening SASRA. You know, there was also a proposal. In some countries, you know, SACCOs fall under the central bank of that particular country. But here we have to strengthen SASRA and then strengthen the commissioner's office, so that regulation, that's where the problem is, regulation. And we should have enough officers and responsible people making sure that people's money is protected. But remember, cooperatives are owned by members. So members must elect very dignified people they know have no history of stealing. And we have something called, an economic equivalent to ESCC, the one to fight corruption. So that we have also a body within the cooperative movement, making sure that there is no corruption which has taken place within the cooperative, that there is no stealing of money. But again, also the DCI's office is still in charge of this in case anybody steals money. But most importantly, before the election takes place in a cooperative, they must elect people who are qualified, and that law has now been proposed, that people should be qualified to a certain level, so that any cooperator who aspires any office in any cooperative must have a certain threshold of education. And I'm sure a lot of them have that sort of education. And because one of the biggest challenge has been, you have leaders who have been chosen and elected by their own membership and are challenged with education. But some are very, very experienced old men with the cooperative area. You know, coffee and many other agricultural cooperatives have suffered. So also the president has now brought in new regulations to make sure coffee is managed properly in the country, because that's one of the areas farmers have suffered and cooperators have suffered. You know, we have tea SACCOs, all these sort of SACCOs, there are sukari SACCOs and such, so that we make sure that whoever is involved in a SACCO of that area, there is good management and someone is really responsible, and should they mess up, then they should be dealt with.
Mheshimiwa, we're having this conversation at a time when SACCOs are grappling with the issue of rising bad loans in the sense of default. If you look at the industry statistics, it shows that the NPL ratio, non-performing loans, has risen to about 6.1%. What do you think can be done just to ensure that at least the lending practices ensure there's a return for the SACCO itself?
You know, in a SACCO, when you borrow, you are guaranteed by other members who have shares. So in other lending institutions, their default is very easy. In the SACCO system, if you default, you find there is another system where your guarantors can still cover you up. But it needs to be streamlined so that when you borrow, we make sure there is insurance. And that's why we have the CIC insurance, which is part of the system of cooperatives, where you insure loans and you insure, you make sure the risks within money lending within the cooperatives is taken care of. Because supposedly then the two guarantors also fail to pay for one reason or then it means that's likely to be a bad loan. Suppose death occurs, suppose there's a tragedy of some sort, and whatever you had borrowed to invest in has failed to take off. Then it means then we need a guarantor and a guaranteeing law to make sure that the bad loans are taken care of. It is true a lot of people are unable to pay their loans, and there are a lot of challenges. So that's also to make sure that when people invest, they invest wisely and they invest in viable projects. They start small and they grow big.
And Mheshimiwa, you've been in the policy circles for quite a while now. Right now we're talking about the Big Four agenda. What sort of opportunities do you see this presenting for the cooperative movement?
Housing. You know, we have the national housing cooperatives, where now the president is launching them right now, and before joining us shortly. And when it comes to housing and this housing agenda, I think the government should work with cooperatives. They will survive better if they work with cooperatives, because they are organized systems. You know the members, you know who you are housing. It should not just be anyone from anywhere just coming into housing. So I think in that particular agenda of housing, we can do very well, and it has succeeded in other countries if you work with housing cooperatives.
What about the area of agribusiness? We have a lot of producer cooperatives. What sort of opportunities do you think exist there?
Well, in Israel, you know, they have the Mashafs, which is an umbrella body, and we have smaller cooperatives, and they have worked, the production cooperatives which are organized in villages, kibbutz. So the Israeli role model is the best if we apply it here, so that farmers come together. And it's happening in Yatta and in Makueni, where I come from, where farmers are coming together. They are able to do dams together, they are able to irrigate together, they are able to produce together and then market together. So in the example of Israel, the kibbutzes do the growing and the mashafs do the marketing. And you find that there are contracts signed all over the world and they are able to deliver the produce in good time. So with irrigation systems coming up, they can be done better if farmers are working together in irrigation sector. And similarly with the coffee, they are organized in cooperatives, tea, they are organized in cooperatives. It has a better future, you know, if we make sure the regulation is good, so that when farmers work together, every farmer is getting their good. Because when you are together, you are strong. But when you are alone, you'll find challenges trying to find the market. In construction industry, you know, the cooperatives are doing well. People land buying cooperatives, and then members share. There have been challenges in the past, but they can be smoothened out now, so that you know what piece of land you invested in your shares.
And Mheshimiwa, as we get to the tail end, we're seeing right now in the banking sector the conversation around credit reference bureaus and how information sharing should be handled. We don't have such in SACCOs or the cooperative movement whereby they can share information just to get a credit profile. How do you think this can be accelerated to adoption of the same?
Yes, it has been proposed already that the credit bureau should know who has a debt where within SACCOs, or either is a defaulter, should be reported. And I think even with the current practice, you can still enforce that. Even in the current practice, you can still enforce that, because you are able to identify who guaranteed whoever borrowed. But in the event there is a bad borrower who is a bicho, then I believe they should be reported to the credit bureau, so that other cooperatives and other banking institutions can know that this particular person is a fraudulent borrower or just borrows and does not want to pay. It can only get to credit bureau when somebody is totally unable to redeem whatever they borrowed, so that they become dangerous to other institutions or to other individuals who they are likely to borrow to.
And finally, a lot of focus is normally put on the regulatory side in terms of the provisions that need to be there. But as savers ourselves, what do we need to do to ensure that at least we are investing in wise institutions or well-managed institutions?
We need to counter-check with the regulatory body, SASRA, and also counter-check with the Office of the Commissioner in the counties and even here in Nairobi, to make sure the institution we are going to invest in is properly registered and is properly managed. You know, there has been church circles. You know what has happened when people's money has been lost, and these are people who can be tried and investigated by the DCI, by ESCC, to make sure no one's money gets lost. But it all goes to the management. It must report to the Commissioner of Cooperatives as quickly as possible, and as regularly as possible. Because the moment you don't do that, then definitely we are going to have a problem.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. We've been speaking to Dan Manzo, who is a legislator focusing on matters of cooperatives. And I'd like to bring on a gentleman here. Please just introduce yourself and give us a comment in terms of Ushirika Day and what your expectations are.
Thanks a lot. Good afternoon. My name is Otieno Stephen, the Chief Operating Officer of the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya, which is the apex body of the cooperative movement in this country. Today is a great day because we actually marking the impact of the cooperative business model's achievement in this country. We've had a whole month of celebrations marked by different activities, including blood donation, We had family fun sports day. And for the first time, we had an inaugural 7-kilometer road race, whose cause is to raise funds to support young learners who otherwise would have been left behind by the promise for education. On the 6th of this month, we had these celebrations in 46 counties other than Nairobi. So today's national celebrations, we've actually drawn cooperators from all over the country to come and showcase, and you can see from the exhibitions what we're actually doing and the impact that it has, socioeconomic impact to the members of the cooperative movement and also to the economy.
So if I could ask you a question, we're having this conversation at this critical point where we have a lot of debate in terms of the legislative framework. We know that cooperatives are devolved, but there isn't legislation in place. How do you feel this has affected the sector in terms of performance?
Well, one thing we have to appreciate that it has taken 9 years since the promulgation of the Constitution for us to start addressing issues of policy review and appropriate legislation so that we can have an enabling environment for cooperatives to thrive. I'm happy, and I've been involved in the process of coming up with a new national cooperative development policy, which is actually in line with the provisions of the Constitution Kenya 2010. The Cabinet Secretary mentioned a couple of months ago that we're embarking on the legislative review, specifically Cooperative Societies Act Cap 490 and the SACCO Societies Act. Then, of course, we're going to have regulations which will be domesticated at the county level. Yes.
And going forward, what role do you envision, for example, the county governments playing in terms of oversight? Because we understand that we have the SASRA rather, playing a very key role in terms of regulation. What role do you think can be delegated at the county level?
Well, the role, what the Transition Authority did, the defunct Transition Authority, was to clearly determine specific roles that were to be played at the national level and the roles that ought to have been played or need to be played at the county level. SASRA is a government parastatal, which is a regulator, and every sector has to be regulated. And that transcends counties, because cooperative societies, particularly SACCOs, which are regulated by SASRA, they are actually inter-county. Some of them work virtually in all the 47 counties of this country. But most importantly, the role of county governments, in my view, is to promote the cooperative business model, to regulate the sector, but most importantly, to provide extension for the growth of the cooperative business model. One thing that the new policy advances is the need for self-regulation for cooperative societies. Because one thing that people need to understand is that cooperative societies are private businesses that are run and owned by the members. So the government and the movement actually meet halfway. So this is what is expected of the government, which is basically to protect the public good. But then the members themselves have to determine how best they want to run their societies. So the government should not be seen in any way whatsoever to interfere with the decisions of the members of the cooperative societies who run their societies through a democratic process. Yes.
One of the issues envisioned in the new policy, I was reading it, and it focuses on the issue of potentially dual membership. For example, it gives an example of, I think this was the Kenya Planters Cooperative Union, which is under the Companies Act as well as the Cooperatives Act. How do you think this can be harmonized, just to ensure that there is no overlapping incidences?
Well, that has been the case, and particularly I'll point out the case, for example, of KPCU. But the new policy now has made clear provision for what we call cooperative companies. Like Cooperative Bank is actually a cooperative company in which Coop Holding has majority shareholding. Same with CIC, which CIS also has majority shareholding in it. So this is basically to provide an opportunity for cooperative societies also to invest in other business models. So the new policy is alive, is realistic to the fact that there are certain trends that have to be accommodated so that they can be properly regulated. Yes.
And we've had incidences of challenges with a couple of SACCOs in the recent past, and some have actually entertained the view that perhaps it is time we reviewed upwards the prudential requirements in terms of core capital requirements, for example. Is this a view you share?
Definitely. You'll see now we have a second tier of SACCOs, particularly the non-deposit taking SACCOs. A task force was actually appointed by the CS in December last year. They've already presented their findings, which have been validated on how we can have the second tier of SACCOs regulated. So we still have a third tier, which probably, in my view, would be best done. They should actually be left for Cusco to regulate. So we need to accommodate everybody, and with those provisions, I think we're actually in the right step.
And the new policy proposals to have an inter-cooperative lending, just the way we have an interbank market where one bank can lend to the other. Do you see this as a feasible approach, especially considering the kind of risk that might be in some?
Well, the thing is, the sixth principle of the cooperative movement is cooperatives for cooperatives. So ideally, cooperatives need to work together, and that is why we are a movement. So we cannot work in silos. We need to, some societies which are stronger need to actually and hold others which are nascent. So to me, it's actually the ideal way that cooperatives should actually do business.
There is the proposal to have the cooperatives public-private partnership model, and I'm just curious to know what sort of opportunities do you feel exist in this particular area that cooperatives can tap into?
Well, when you look at the contribution that we make in the economy, which is argued to be between 30 to 45%, is quite enormous. And we are the most ideal people to actually, for the government to actually do PPP with, because we have the numbers, we have, and the impact of our work goes down to the very, spreads out to a very large number of people. And with us actually consolidating our efforts, I see it as an opportunity that is very ideal for actually us to venture into.
And there has been the issue around one of the challenges oft cited in the SASRA reports is that many depositors raise the lamentation that upon the exit, accessing your deposits become a challenge. How do you feel this can be better managed at the cooperative level?
Well, that is one of the governance issues that we have in cooperatives. And governance issues are always there in any business model. We are alive to that. And SASRA has made very clear provisions as to what needs to be done. And I'm happy that since we are embarking on the review of the CAP 490, these are some of the stringent measures that we're going to put in place so that members can be able to have their deposits refunded within the stipulated time period.
If you look at the SASRA annual report for 2017, one of the key pointers that you can discern from it is that the number of registered entities which are meeting the core capital requirements are declining. We're now at about 161. It was initially in 2015 at 173. Why do you think this is the case?
Well, even now, SASRA is still regulating about 174. They are not actually 161.
No, but the number of entities meeting the core capital requirement, yes.
Well, one of the biggest problems that we have, the economic situation has not been very favorable to people. And that has affected member equity and capitalization in cooperative societies. There are job losses. That also affects member deposits. So that is actually one thing that we need to look at. And I'm very happy with the theme that we have this year on cooperatives for decent work. We are not just promoting decent work within cooperatives, but even in other business models. Because if we can be able to have more employees being retained in their places of work, then they would be able to increase their deposits in cooperative societies. And that would actually see us, improve from that decline that you've mentioned.
Yeah. And there is the view that actually there are statistics to back it up that SACCOs are predominated by an aging population. The young people are not catching on this trend as fast as it would be desired. What are you doing as the apex body just to ensure that at least you create products which would this particular demographic?
Well, that is a
This is NTV.
Ilizae kama ajalema.
Serikali leta dawa gani?
It's almost a year, nothing has been done.
I just need some form of information.
Soldier.